including snacks.
Yeah. What it do, snackers, snackettes, and snack X's? It's your boy Gage. I'm joined by Sin and Jokes.
Yo.
And special guest, CC the Geek. Welcome to the show, CC.
What's good? Oh, thank you. I'm so
Let's
humble.
go.
So humble.
For sure.
Yeah.
What up, Perp? What up, Dr.
What up,
Who?
Perp?
What it do?
Yeah.
Domingo, I saw you in the chat. Look, you all are now tuned in to Loading Snacks Weekly, where we get together once a week and we talk about things that are happening in pop culture. And today
Today?
we're going to talk about maybe a little bit of the more adult side of Disney. I don't know. We'll get to that eventually. Listen,
about to make
we're
me
going to
curse.
talk about CC. We're going to talk about CC. We're going to talk about HBCU Con.
Yeah.
And how important that is. But first, before we get too deep into that, CC,
Yes.
let's do this. For all the people who are watching, for everyone who's paying attention, let's dig in a little bit. This is kind of our, this is not for judgment purposes. This is just a litmus test.
Okay.
Just to see, likes, dislikes, that kind of thing. We just want to see where you are. So, here's what I want to know. Give me a rundown of your pop culture go-to. What is a pop culture guilty pleasure for you?
Gosh. A guilty pleasure? So something that nobody else really likes, but I like?
Yeah.
What is that show? Fina Princess something. It's some anime.
Fina Princess Pirates.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
See? Sin likes it. You're not by yourself. Sin?
Thank you.
Hold on, no, I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, it's supposed to be the real soft, it's very sentimental. It's not your Attack on Titan anime, let's put it that way.
Would you say it is an anime more suited for the month of February for the Valentine's? Sin usually does a rundown.
I mean, it's not totally a love story in that sense, but there is a lot of nuance in terms of the characters. I think it's set in Imperial Japan or something. So there's, elements of sexism and things like that. There's this one dude who's a total douche and he is really mean to women on the show. And then there's a moment where he's about to slap this woman. And this other dude stops his hand and he was like, look, as long as I'm around, you ain't putting your hands on no woman. I was like, who is this?
It wasn't my kind of show. Now it's starting to sound like it might be my kind of show.
That's what I'm saying, right?
What up, Fonzo? Cuddy says, what it do? I'll be in and out, but please tell the people why I was laughing so hard from Spoiler Boys and tell everybody who want Reddit. Hey, listen, I'm gonna tell you what. I can't tell people about Spoiler Boys. They just have to go and enjoy it for themselves. What's the easiest way to do that, Jokes?
Hey, Patreon. Go right there. Patreon.com/loading snacks.
Go right there. You can see it. There's Domingo.
Black.
Show up.
You guys have some really lively fans. I love it.
No doubt. No doubt. Okay, so listen. Cece, do you have a favorite movie?
Oh gosh, that's hard to narrow it down to one.
See, some people can just say it. If you can't, that's cool. Just you know.
I don't know. I gotta marinate on that. A movie I could just watch over and over and over again and not get tired.
Yeah, you don't have one. Do you just get tired of movies normally?
No, not at all.
I got different favorite movies that fit in that category.
Yeah, Black Panther is definitely one of those movies where I can watch it over and over and it still gives me all the feels.
I dig that.
Especially now, so yeah, that's one of my favorites, at least in the geek genre. Also, Endless Waltz. Endless Waltz is one of my favorite.
Mobile Suit Gundam. Gundam Wing.
Look at Joe.
Gundam Wing.
I love that movie. Princess Mononoke. I love that movie.
That's
never gets old.
One of my favorites. Easy.
Yes, Hayazaki's just brilliant.
Of course.
Yeah.
Doctor Who says Snatch. And I'm not mad at that. Doctor Who in the chat says Snatch.
Snatch, okay, yeah. And what was the other one? what was the movie with Ludacris in them, and it was like exploring all the nuance. Crash.
Oh yeah, that's really
yeah.
Because at first when you said Ludacris, I was about to be like, no, that's not. I don't.
Fast and Furious?
Is that me? Is that me?
You know, where they're like discriminating against them, and he's like, man, look at that dude over there staring at us like that. And they're like, all right, let's go rob him. I was like,
yeah, straight up. Yeah, that's a wild opening for real. Letitia Jones said Endless Waltz is classic. I'm not mad at that.
Yeah,
Anthony Ryan Hayes in there showing some love.
And I do love the Broly movie too. That's my
dream. Yes,
the new Broly movie, the newest one, cool.
The old one is still classic.
No, I ain't saying there's nothing wrong with the original Broly movie at all.
Yeah, I love it. And they're coming out. They're working on another one, if I'm not mistaken.
Superhero.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. And I recently rewatched Sailor Moon R, the movie, the first Sailor Moon movie, and that kind of brought back so much nostalgia. I'm like, okay, this is still one of my. I still love this movie.
You tell the truth. You really don't have a favorite. You just like a bunch of different. Yeah. That's not. I mean, okay, that's fair. So listen. So I want you to know that the questions only get harder from here.
I know.
Do you have a favorite anime?
Okay. My all-time favorite is Sailor Moon because that was my gateway drug. That was my gateway anime.
Okay.
My favorite anime right now, hands down, Demon Slayer.
Okay.
Demon Slayer.
Not mad at that at all.
I'll take that.
Especially now. Like I'm probably like one episode behind, but where I'm at now, I'm like, yo, this.
I knew Perp was gonna come.
I was waiting for Perp to start with that. I was waiting for it.
Here comes Perp. She already mentioned Attack on Titan. Perp. She mentioned it once already.
I like Attack on Titan, but I've only seen like 2 episodes, and it traumatized me. So I was told,
man.
I was told
it ain't gonna get no better.
I was like, oh my God. And then my homie was like, yeah, this is like every episode. And I'm like, what?
It ain't getting no better.
Some a little worse than others.
Yeah, right. Real. So I was told.
Perp said I feel betrayed.
I'm sorry, Perp. I was told that before I can watch Attack on Titan, I have to watch Jujutsu Kaisen because that will kind of like prep me for Attack on Titan.
I don't see how that's even.
I don't know.
They don't even correlate to the same
like
thing.
Not as harsh. They said it's not quite there, so it'll like be like a buffer. I don't know.
Who said she can't watch Attack on Titan either?
Yeah, because I did.
Is it the violence?
Last year, though, in the panorama, I've watched Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, and that is my jammy jam. Yeah, I like Full Metal. I actually want to watch it again. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to rewatch it because there's so much. Like you miss. Like if you look at your phone and look up, you're like, oh my God, I missed something.
Yeah. When you say that Sailor Moon was your gateway, how old were you when you got introduced to Sailor Moon? Like how long has anime been a thing for you? Like
11 or 12. Honestly, like Speed Racer was technically my first anime, but I didn't know it was anime.
You didn't know.
Right.
Hey, listen, that's one of the jokes things too.
No, that's the same thing.
You already mentioned Speed Racer and Gundam.
Yeah.
And we ain't even been in here for 10 minutes yet. He's having a blast already.
No, that was the same thing with me. I didn't know Speed Racer was an anime, and then once they made the follow-up to the original one, that was when I was like, hold on, wait a minute here. This looks like anime. And then
that was the same thing with me and Rebotech. Same thing. I didn't realize I was watching anime. I was so young watching it. Then, my uncles told me, and I was like, that's why I like this so much. Yeah. Y'all do things different.
I didn't even know what they were. I mean, that's a real thing. I mean, it's like, I might not even know what this is.
Ooh, Pat Labor? Oh, you bringing up old stuff, right?
Yeah, straight up. Macross, Pat Labor. That's what I'm talking
about.
I think I had seen Ronin Warriors before.
Ronin Warriors is clean.
Yep. Yeah, but I didn't really digest it. But I think it was the fact that it was, women, like that was something I had never seen before. Were all women superheroes. You know what I mean? That was just something that, hey, what's going on? I had to be out.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Oh man. Feelings on Voltron. Hey, listen.
I do like.
I loved Voltron.
Yeah, Voltron.
I did growing up. Yeah.
Are you referring to the new Voltron, which I actually do like?
Right. I haven't seen the new Voltron yet.
You haven't seen it?
The old school is the only one I got. That's my only reference.
I've only watched the first season of the new one.
Dragon Ball. Don't skip it, Perk. At least see it so you can talk about it.
Wait, are you talking about Evolution? Is that the Dragon Ball you talking about skipping?
Or is he talking about superhero?
You're supposed to skip superhero.
You better, if you're saying you're skipping Evolution, you're perfectly fine. Anything else?
Shout out the Crimson and Cream.
Hey, appreciate you.
The Crimson and Cream shout out.
I do have a favorite sorority, so I do have that. Once I make a decision, I fully commit.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what it should. That's how it should be. Unless it's a movie, and then you're like, I can't choose.
Right.
I can't decide.
Right.
You have a favorite superhero?
I do. Well, dang, no, I don't have one favorite. But I have, of course, Storm was like the first one who really resonated with me as a kid because X-Men was on from an early age.
Yeah.
So that was kind of, I know it's kind of a cop out, but like really, Black women ain't had that was all we got. You know, Storm
that's who existed. Yeah.
Outside of the comic medium, at least. You know, once I started doing more research in the comics, then I found Nubia.
Ty, get your ass out of the comments.
Hey, Ty, go home, Ty. Go home, Ty. Oh, man. Can I tell y'all that if Ty wasn't one of our biggest supporters on Patreon and throughout, I would kick that dude out of the show every week.
Is that Superman? Is that the one who said Superman?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's blasphemy on the show.
He knows Sin don't like Superman at all, and
I know. I just really got hip to the whole Superman hate train, like a few years ago.
President and founder,
right?
Yeah. He's the conductor.
Yeah. Perp says superhero Dragon Ball should never be CGI. It's blasphemous. But I might bootleg it.
No, hey, look.
I mean,
the CG, like, I need to see it full. Like, we've seen like the small.
Yeah.
I need to see it for real. For like, I'm not all for the CG. When they did the little small bit of it in Broly, it was a little shaky as it was in the beginning. But now, I don't know. Now, if they just said like Arc System Works was like doing all the CG for the movie, I'd be like, we got something.
You know what? If it looks anything like how they did Beastars, it's probably going to be okay. Because as much as I hate the CG in animes, it's getting. I have to be honest and say it actually is getting better. And they did all the Beastars in CG, and it was like, okay, this is actually done.
Like Anthony just said, the CGI and Demon Slayer.
Yeah, you got to give them a chance to like evolve, right? It's just like dubbed anime. Like, look at Speed Racer compared to now. Like, we have come a long way.
No two ways about that. Are you a gamer? You play games? I mean, I see a little Mario, a little Toad back there.
These were I got these when I cosplayed Super Mario. I am a gamer. I got my Dreamcast sitting over here.
You a gamer? You a gamer?
That's real right there.
Yeah, and then I got my PS4 upstairs. So I haven't. It's funny because now it's like, oh, I got these gaming systems, but I don't really have time to play them. When I do have time, I play Tekken and Street Fighter mostly. Okay. I'll play Mortal Kombat now and then. I played Mortal Kombat for the first time in like years, and I was like, "Yo, these graphics are real. Like, this is real. This is real detailed." I was like, "This is a lot."
It's rated mature for a reason. If you have trouble with Mortal Kombat, I can understand why you might have trouble with Attack on Titan. Like I can see.
I'm like, but like the detail they show, like at first they didn't show you like all the angles. Like now it's a close up. If Scorpion
you get everything.
Like, you see the drink go through the heart. You know what I'm saying? And yank. I was like, God damn! It just I had to take it in. You know what I'm saying?
I get it. I get it.
I do love those. I used to play Echo the Dolphin. That was my guilty pleasure.
Classic Genesis.
Yeah, classic
Genesis. Hey, Joe, you know about Echo the Dolphin?
I got the Dreamcast. Nope. I had the Atari bundle, so I got to play Centipede.
Perfect. Throwbacks. I'm a Miss Pac-Man guy myself. That's my mother's fault. But I'm a Miss Pac-Man guy myself.
My mom was the one. She put me on the Centipede. She's like, I used to play Centipede at the arcade.
Facts. Yeah. Okay, look. How did this cosplay thing start for you?
Oh gosh. So 2015, I had just started a new job. And actually it was my first full-time job working in nonprofit, at least outside of working for the government. So it was my first private nonprofit gig, I should say, being a full-time activist, if you will. So then I had a little bit of disposable income, and I was like kind of just, like I think I was 27. So I started a little later in the game, if you will, compared to some of the other cosplayers. But I just was at a point in my life where I was like, all right, I want to do all the things that I've been like putting off and was afraid to do, thought about doing, but for whatever reason, just didn't make it happen because I was too caught up trying to work or, conform to societal norms or caught up in toxic relationship or whatever the case may be. So I was like, I'm going to do what I want and live my best life. And I had been talking to my homegirl for a while. And at the time, I was actually living with my best friend. And me and her, prior to this, we used to watch a show on Sci-Fi called Heroes of Cosplay. Mm-hmm. And it was basically like a docu-series. That's how I got introduced to Yaya Han, because Yaya Han was one of the people on the show. And I just fell in love with her and her craft and everything that she was doing. And even in high school, I had heard from one of my homegirls about conventions and all the wild stuff that happened there. And even at 16, I was like, that's a lot. I'm going to wait till I'm older. I'm going to
hold on a little
right.
bit.
Yeah. I was a very mild 16-year-old. So, but yeah. So I go to Baltimore Comic-Con 2015, and I cosplayed Black Widow from Age of Ultron. I had gotten it at a Spirit of Halloween store, just off the cuff. And I started walking around with my homegirl who I went to high school with, who told me about all the wild parties and stuff. So it was me, her, my homie Bryant, and his girlfriend, then girlfriend, now wife, Tracy, who is actually a soror from my chapter. Her older sister is my line sister. She's her older sister is my ace. So we all went, and I just noticed that, a lot of people were asking to take my picture, and I'm like, yo, I didn't think like this is just some rinky dink, store bought, whatever.
The spirit, like,
it wasn't even the, my costumes and Easy. That stuff wasn't even around. I think maybe Easy Cosplay was, but I didn't know. So people were just taking my pictures, and I noticed that the majority of the people who were asking me were Black. So then that was something that immediately registered with me.
Like for you.
Yeah, and I was like, maybe there's something to it. And at the time, there was only one other Black woman who cosplayed Black Widow, and I got a picture with her. She was walking with Nick Fury.
Oh,
and,
what's up, Shady?
Hey, so what's up, Shady? That's the homie right there.
No doubt.
Yeah, Baltimore Comic-Con, and I just kind of dove in head first. So I was like, maybe I'll start putting more thought into my outfits. And I really wanted to like merge my style and my personality with the characters that I was cosplaying. So I started, just trying to channel characters who I identified with and love. So like that's where the Chun-Li came in, because she was one of my day one.
Let's talk about that then. Here, let's do. Well, we'll do this one.
Oh, I still got that. I've had that dress since I was like 14. When I was in my weed prime, and there was this store in the mall that was owned by this Chinese lady, and she was selling everything from like clothes to furniture. And it was for my homecoming dance freshman year. And it was just in my closet collecting dust. And I just pulled it out, and my homegirl, she altered it for me so that I could have more mobility.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, well,
let's go through a couple others. Let's look at this. That's right, Shady. CC is a multi-talented leader. That's a fact.
Yep.
Greg that CC's dope. Another fact. I'm just full of facts today.
Yeah,
I like it. Yeah. So Jubilation Lee.
This cosplay is completely Greg Burnham's fault.
Is it really? I'm
gonna tell you why.
All the faces for this.
Yes, I'm gonna tell you why. So him and Marcus, the visual, had a meetup. They have a group called MCU ATL, which is like their big Marvel fans. So they had an event. This was 2019. They had a meetup or whatever at some brewery. And I just so happened to be in town the week leading up to that event because I was there on business. So I was like, hey, you know, I usually hit up anytime I go to, especially New York and Atlanta, I got a lot of friends in either of those places. So anytime I go to either city, I'm like, yo, I'm traveling here for business. Like maybe I can stay an extra few days, we can hang out, you know, because the flight's already paid for, you know. Right. So that was pretty much what I did. So he told me that they were having this event. And actually, the Ranger Stop and Pop was happening that same weekend. So I wound up hitting up both events. Okay. The Stop and Pop that Sunday, and then his event was Saturday. So I was like, yo, I don't really have any Marvel cosplays. Like, I would love to go, but I want to cosplay, but I don't really have any. I was like, my Black Widow was the only one I had, and it was too big at that point. So then I was like, well, I'm like, dang, I don't have enough time to put together Storm unless I did like a closet or a punk version of it. Sure. And then I thought about what other character I could do. And I was like, what about Jubilee? And he was like, she's spunky, you know, and witty or whatever. He's like, yeah, do Jubilee. So that's
we'll blame him.
Yeah.
We'll blame him. You know what? Greg took this picture.
He did. That is so funny. Oh my God, nostalgia.
Yep.
I was so pressed that weekend because I was
that same year.
Yeah, I was helping them work that booth, and Marcus gifted me with his 90s Storm artwork, and I was like,
oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites of his.
Yep. Let's talk about your Sailor Mars.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Brian Mays killed it. He's a really good. Him and Sleepy Muse did the Jubilee one. They're just really good coaches. Yeah, like I've been really blessed to work with really good photographers, like published photographers, who have been really good with like kind of teaching me. And I've done research too on like poses. I think that's something that a lot of not a lot, but some cosplayers can be remiss of that. And you have like even practicing in the mirror, like how do your facial expressions look? Like me, you know, I'm nearsighted, so I know I have to look up a little bit to open my eyes up a little bit more. I'm also short, so like people will, you know, manipulate the poses or manipulate the angles in such a way that it makes me look taller. Sure. So you know, little things like that. And even like
those are the tips I need right there. Those are the tips I need. I need to get the right angle so you can look taller.
Hey, don't let Domingo hear that, because Domingo about to
right.
If he in the chat right now, he is dying laughing.
He's having a good one. And listen, I told y'all that's why I keep the hat on, because I just keep it a little higher. You know what I mean? So y'all can't tell.
Just add a little bit more.
Helps me keep it. Just keeps a little bit.
And I've gotten into like. I've gotten more into photography myself now. Like I started taking more photos of other costs, especially like Tranquil Ashes when the pandemic hit. You know, she's pretty much like one of the only people who lives like within an hour of me. So we was pretty much like through thick and thin, we're going to get through this. Might as well take each other's pictures. So that was when I really started to like learn how to work the angles, you know, like learning how to work angles, because she's taller than me too. Yeah. So I had to do things to like, you know, make it look like, okay, this isn't some mouse taking the picture, because I'm like significantly shorter. And then if she has heels on, she's even taller, you know. So and just learning like people's angles, like their good side, what are some good poses I can do. Like her Domino and her Cora are two of my most proudest, like, you know, shoots that I've done. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'll get me a real camera one of these days.
Doing some of everything. Tell me about your face in this picture.
Oh my gosh.
That's energy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's energy.
Kim Photos, he always pushes me to my limit. And he loves to shoot like dancers, martial artists, stunt folks like that. So he's always trying to push me to my limit. And he was like, I want you to jump. I was like, okay. He's like, jump like you're about to chop somebody's head off, basically, like you're about to chop a demon's head off. So that's what I did. Like I was going for the sword, and he was like, be mindful of your facial expressions too. Yeah. So it was really, it was, I had to do it like maybe 2 or 3 times, because the first time, like one of my braids was blocking my face, and
right. Right. Mm-hmm. Doctor Who is asking if you. Doctor Who also shoots photography and does cosplay.
Okay.
She's asking if where you're located.
I'm just outside of DC. Yeah. So yeah, DC area.
Around us. DMV.
Yeah, DMV. I'm in Silver Spring, so like basically DC is really close to me. Like I'm less than 5 miles away from DC, from like the city center, but then also Baltimore. I'm like right off the highway, so I could easily get to Baltimore too if anybody wants to shoot. For sure.
See, look, there she is, right there.
She already.
I can shoot you. Yeah, I'm nearby. I can shoot you.
I appreciate that.
For a long time, she's good people, really, really good people. She cosplays an awesome Garnet.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, it's an incredible Garnet.
Yeah. I went to high school with Rebecca Sugar.
Did you? Oh,
I did. She was in my graduating class. I didn't know her like that. My school was it was like 3,000. My graduating class was like 703. But some of my friends were really cool with her, and they still talk to her. And her husband created OKKO.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is another show I really like. Mm-hmm. Not as much as I like Steven Universe, but I definitely like OKKO.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had the Lana on when we were at MagFest.
Yeah. Yep, Griffin Studios shot that. Shout out to him, my co-host on Everybody Gets One podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And this is another one. You sent me.
Oh yeah, that's one of my faves. And I gotta reread her name. Oh, Jean. She was like just some random woman who I seen. She was
She was like, let me take your picture.
Yeah, let me get your picture.
I'm gonna take it.
Okay.
One more cosplay shot. Let's do this.
Crouching Butterfly. Oh, that's the OG. Oh man.
Straight up.
Shout out to Bryant, the guy who took this picture. That's who I said, I went to my first con with. He actually designed HBCU Con's logo.
That's dope.
He designed a lot of our assets, a lot of our graphics, all of our, pretty much the majority of our flyers, I think with the exception of the fashion show flyer. He's just been just a day one supporter. So I really want to shout him out. Good dude. And he went to Bowie too. He went to Bowie State. So he's an HBCU alum.
Let's talk about that then a little bit. Let's talk about HBCU Con, because I also know you have this coming up tomorrow. You have a Kickstarter that's running right now. So we need to talk about HBCU Con.
Appreciate you. And shout out to Moana Nui podcast. They've always been cool with me.
Yeah, good folks.
Yeah.
So let's talk about HBCU Con. Let's talk about what it is, what's going on with it. Talk about the Kickstarter. HBCU Con. Why is HBCU Con a thing?
Why is it a thing? So
thank you for putting that in the chat. For anybody who's interested in going and supporting the Kickstarter, and please do. The link is available in the chat. You can click right on it. It'll take you right to the Kickstarter page. We got some money to make in a few days.
I know that's right. So I guess I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. Let's talk about it.
So I guess the thing that struck me, even like from my very first time cosplaying, when I was walking around in that Black Widow costume, I started to conceptualize the idea of a Greeks and Geeks convention. Like, how was I going to bridge that gap and connect my, sorority life to being a nerd? Because to me, they were very, much intertwined. Like, I grew up in a world where, all the various aspects of Black culture and being a geek were never mutually exclusive. They were one and the same, or at the very least, very heavily intertwined. Both my parents went to, actually, my mom, dad, and stepmom are all HBCU grads. Okay. My mom named me after Star Trek. My dad, she named me after Shauna Traskelion from the original Star Trek series. My father's a huge Star Wars fan. He loved James Earl Jones, so Darth Vader was his dude, you know. And my mom was always watching X-Files. She watched Game of Thrones. You know, she was hitting me up, bugging me about Game of Thrones. I'm like, oh, I'm not caught up yet. Yeah. So I just grew up in a world where that was never like a thing. But then matriculating through the geek community, and particularly the blur community, I noticed that there was almost this like unspoken agreement that in order for you to be seen as an authentic blurred, you had to like distance yourself from other aspects of Black culture, like hip hop and you know all these other things, and then running into people who didn't even know what a HBCU is, you know, like Black people didn't know what a HBCU is. So that kind of really stuck out to me. And I actually just had that conversation with HBCU Anime not too long ago, where he was saying the same thing. Like he was running across so many anime fans, and they didn't, you know, they were kind of missing out, if you will, on like all these dope aspects of Black culture.
Sure.
So I really wanted to find a way to bridge those things and to like show people that we don't have to compartmentalize ourselves or you know, like shy away from our heritage in order to, and as a matter of fact, you know, I've come to the realization that being a nerd is really black as hell, if you don't mind me saying. But yeah, I mean, I'm trying to keep it clean because I got the red. I understand. But yeah, so in some HBCU Con is a community that is built to celebrate and bridge the gap between historically Black colleges and the Black geek community at large. We are here to connect folks of all Black geeks of all backgrounds with historically Black institutions, and to really kind of show HBCUs also the vitality of these spaces in this community and why it's important to have programs in animation and gaming like my alma mater, Bowie State, just got. And I think that Fayetteville, there was a couple other schools that just recently got esports programs or gaming programs. So I think, you know, people are starting to wake up, if you will, and kind of see the connections and connect the dots, if you will. But that was essentially why. And actually, to go even further than that, when I was at Bowie in undergrad, like I found my people almost immediately. Like it's so crazy. Like I was literally moving in, and I came across these two dudes who were involved in SGA, and they were helping with the move-in. Their names were Marcus Brooks and David Hooker. And they saw me and they were like, oh, you know, let's help people move in. And when they came into my dorm and was helping me unpack my stuff, they saw some of my like, you know, I guess knickknacks or whatever. And they realized that I was one of them. So they were like, all right, listen, you know, later on, you come down to this room and you knock twice or whatever it was. And so I go, you know, much against my better judgment, I go to these strange dudes' room, you know, who I just met, you know, and I go in there, and there's like monitors all over the walls. One monitor's got like Tekken playing. Another monitor, they're playing Dance Dance Revolution, and they got the mat out, like literally. Another one, they're like watching anime. And then another one was like Heroes. Remember the show Heroes?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That was like the whole suite was quiet when Heroes came on. So that was essentially how I found my folks. And I just really wanted to take that space, because in that space there was nothing off the table. Like you could talk about nerd stuff. You could talk about race issues. You could talk about politics. You could talk about your personal issues, like my mom, or you know, we over here. My meal plan is expired, or I don't know.
Right. Whatever it is, it was an open. It was an open space, open forum.
Yep, and whatever happened in that room stayed in that room and was safe. You know, you were safe. Your secrets were safe in that room. And I just really wanted to take that environment and what it became known as we've gotten older, because all of our rooms were divided up into suites, right?
Yeah.
And each suite had 5 rooms. So this particular room was the Suite 200. And I really just wanted to take the experience that I got in the Suite 200 and kind of recreate it on a grand scale.
I dig that.
And Marcus Brooks is actually our financial secretary. And David Hooker is my director of operations. Hooker's actually in Cali right now working for Disney. And then Brooks is working for AstraZeneca managing COVID-19 clinical trials. So,
so they're a little busy, but they still, you know, doing the HBCU Con thing.
Yeah, they are. Yep. And it's crazy because half the team or people I, you know, have known like pretty much all my adult life. Like I got one of my line sisters on the team. My homegirl Louisa, who's an AKA, is on the team, and she went, you know, of course my vice president Wendell, he went to Coppin, and then Howard. But we also have folks like Dana Morgan. Dana Morgan didn't go to HBCU. She's just like, hey, this is a cool thing, and I want to be a part. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like she gets it. So
hey, just send Pop has this question up on the screen for CC. Why are you looking at your opinion on people cosplaying fake GLOs? Doing Whitney Gilbert. I'm unfamiliar. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, if it's a fake Greek letter organization, then it don't really matter.
Oh.
Like if you're cosplaying like the Muse from Stomp the Yard, then I don't care.
I don't.
Or even I
feel like in that. I mean, I don't know. Was that person cosplaying as Whitney Gilbert?
Right.
You know what I mean? Or were they just cosplaying as a person who was in that organization?
Right.
But they weren't cosplaying Whitney.
But I'll give you a prime example. My very first con, before I even got into the door at Baltimore Comic Con, I got a picture with dude too. I gotta find it. He had a Lambda shirt from Revenge of the Nerds. And I was like, oh snap, I recognized it immediately. Because if you remember in that movie, they were a historically Black fraternity. You know what I mean? So yep. So yeah, I'm with it. Whatever, they're fake. Yeah. Nothing is real.
The teacher said if I had that blurred space when I was at Hampton, I would have stayed longer. I think you having that experience at Bowie is incredible. I would agree with that. I mean, I'm going to say that I think that, unfortunately, you know, look, we've been doing, you know, our being comfortable being at Geek panels at multiple conventions for a couple of years now. And I find that your story is a little more unique than most of the people that I talk to. Most of the blurs that I talk to, like I find a lot of people felt like they had to hide it. You know what I mean? You know, or it just wasn't cool enough for them to, you know, it wasn't cool enough for them to feel safe.
Right. I mean, outside of that space, I did.
Okay.
You know, outside of that space, I did hide it, especially when I crossed too. Like, and that was kind of the thing. It was like I had always been labeled like kind of the nerd or the weird one, if you will, not in a bad way, but it was just like, you know, she just different. That's just what she into, and it's cool. But it was something that none of my, you know, or not going to say none, but definitely none of my line sisters at the time could quite digest it, except for maybe my line sister Ashley. And then Tomika, my line, who works for HBCU Con, she was always, you know, open to it, but never like, I could never get her in a costume, you know, even though she thought it was cool. But you know, as I've matriculated and as I've gotten, I think that also the timing was a thing too, because you know, I was in school 2005 through 2009 for undergrad. Right. So, and then the demographics too. I think Bowie being in Prince George's County kind of allowed for a different experience, you know, where we had folks coming from New York and you know, like there's this one dude from New York who used to stay in the suite, and he used to have the freshest anime jackets, like leather jackets, you know what I'm saying? Like, where are you getting these jackets from?
Yeah, back in my day, that wasn't a thing. Like you couldn't get.
He's probably getting them.
There was no clothes. Yeah. There weren't hats. There was no, you know what I mean? And so like you couldn't even find a way to wear it. If you could find a way to wear it proudly, you had to do it in a way that wasn't acceptable in Black clothing culture. You know what I mean? Like in hip hop clothing culture, like you couldn't. It was very difficult to mix the two.
Yeah, it was.
So it just was very different. I have a question about the high school outreach.
Okay.
Something like HBCU Con, because again, like you said, you're running into people now who are adults who don't know HBCUs exist, right? And so, is there something in place to kind of try to help outreach to younger people who were like us, right? Who already don't have a home, don't feel like they're comfortable. Because again, we talk to a lot of people who feel that way, even to this day, in school, that I like animes that other people don't like, or I'm into stuff that people think is weird, or they think I'm, and I don't feel comfortable there. So they already feel that way. Doing something like this, one, I think is incredible.
Thank you.
Because again, you're helping to bridge that gap between people who like all of this stuff that's on this back wall here, and what's in the back of Sin's image, and Gundam like in the back of what Jokes has, and Mario stars and stuff like that, right? Like bridge that with people who are, engineers or working at Disney, or you know what I mean? Like, and I think that is I think that's super important. And as big of a deal as it is for people who are in college or know the HBCU experience, man, I would love to make sure that other people who aren't aware that not only can they get the Black college experience and it do them a lot of good,
right?
They can find ways to feel comfortable in who they are in those places too.
Right. It's interesting you say that, because like the bulk of our followers are in the 25 to 35 age range, so they're young professionals. They're people who are very nostalgic about they're either nostalgic about the experience, they recently graduated from an HBCU and they're nostalgic, or perhaps they didn't attend a HBCU, that maybe they didn't go to college at all, and they're at that age where they're like looking back on their 20s like, dang, I wish I had that, or dang, it would have been, maybe I should, go to a Howard homecoming, but they haven't quite had an experience that they feel like is their own. And, people, especially on the tail end of that age gap group, these people have kids. So that's something that I'm cognizant of. And then, like you said, for the high schoolers, it's hard enough finding your way in college, but then in high school, it's like even more of a, I feel like the bullying and stuff is kind of harsher when you're in high school, or at least maybe when I was in college, I didn't care as much. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe I stopped caring.
I certainly think that we should probably, link up and put something together. Like I'm already working on plans to try to take like our being comfortable being a geek panel into schools. And that's something I want to talk with Eric, who's going to be on the show next week, about doing with, his program. He works, in the school system, and Artway Alliance works a lot in STEM and STEAM and stuff like that. So we definitely should talk about putting something together. Here's what I want to do. Jokes, can you,
let me know.
Can you pull up the Kickstarter page on screen for us?
Real quick. Make it known that we are reaching out to some of the local high schools, especially in Prince George's County, which is where Bowie State is located. It's also where MagFest happens and where CatsaCon happens. So like in Prince George's County, not for nothing, is the most affluent, predominantly Black county in the country. So there's just such a, and then of course, me being from DC, when Chocolate City was Chocolate City, growing up, like I literally grew up a 5-minute bus ride from Howard, what I'm saying? So the Petworth area is what they call it. So, I'm just really passionate about that. My stepmom actually works for the Board of Education for Prince George's County. So like you said, we'll definitely talk if that's something that you want to make happen. And she went to Grambling, and she got her master's at Virginia State.
Okay. Nice.
Well, my mama also worked for the school system here in PG and wrote curriculum, and
that's what's up.
I did a little time in PG. We definitely we'll talk. Yeah, I did a little time. So look, the Kickstarter is
nothing else,
Here's what so right now, what are we sitting at? $9,120.
Over 9,000, yeah.
What's our goal?
Our goal is 15K, and we got 12 days to go.
12 days left to earn like 6K.
Yep.
All right. So we need to put this in front of some folks.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. And I do want to make it known. So for one, the event is going to happen regardless. Like we are pulling it off. This is essentially to help us basically to help make this organization sustainable, and to really enhance it in a way that will, kind of bring people together and to, really optimize our first year event, but also having cushion so that we can do this in the future, without, and less overhead. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
So, yeah, but we're proud.
So HBCU Con is happening.
Proceeds are going to benefit my alma mater too. I should make that known. It's going to benefit the Department of Fine and Performing Arts at Bowie.
At Bowie? That's cool.
Okay.
That's cool. Yeah. My middle daughter did her first 2 years at Bowie. So I'm I know plenty of people who went.
Right.
April 29th through May 1st is a definite. It's happening.
Yes.
Where is it happening?
It's happening at the campus of Bowie State University.
At Bowie State.
Yes.
It's going down.
It's going
Bowie
down.
State University.
Yep. We're having a step show. We're having a fashion show. We're having a gaming lounge with a tournament that's sponsored by MagFest. So shout out to MagFest.
No doubt.
Yep. We're getting some screenings lined up so that we can show some anime.
I dig it.
Just chill.
I dig it.
And then, of course, we'll have a slew of panels, of special guest speakers, Artist Alley. And this is going to be a hybrid event. So you can buy a virtual ticket or you can buy a live, tickets for the live event. And if you buy a 3-day pass for the live event, then you automatically get virtual access.
Okay.
Okay.
And then we do have tiers on our Kickstarter where you can get passes.
That's important.
Yeah, you can get passes there. And then in addition to the passes, you'll get like T-shirts and stickers and things like that. So you get some bang for your buck,
Notice me, senpai.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. I like that.
Yeah, thank you.
I do wanna. Letitia said, and there's also something for the government being a huge employer of math, science, and geeks of all kinds, especially in the DMV area. Agreed.
Yeah. It's no coincidence that 40% of our workforce are federal government employees, and Maryland in particular has more Black homeowners than any other state per capita. You know, that is because of the government jobs and it provides security. And even though, not to say that there's no discrimination in the public sector, because there definitely is,
right?
But it's harder for them to sweep it under the rug as opposed to private or corporations.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
All right. Well, listen. Here's what we need to do. Jokes.
Mm-hmm.
Do me a favor and pop CC's Instagram. Well, actually, pop her LinkedIn. The one for HBCU Con, as well as her personal.
Got them all coming.
Those will be in the chat. So you all
background.
So you all can click on those and make sure you follow CC across all of her social media links that are there in that link tree. And then there's the link tree for HBCU Con.
Oh, thank you.
Gamer Blue.
Yeah.
Ryan, it's always good to see you here. Again, there's the Kickstarter. So you can jump on the link and go in there and show some support there. We are going to discuss a couple of pieces of news.
All right.
Just a couple pieces.
That's cool. I'm with.
And we're gonna start with this because I feel like this needs to be addressed. Hold on, I'm gonna see if we'll see if it'll let me play it.
I'll hit you with that again.
I gotta finish season 2 of The Witcher. Speaking of news,
See, I haven't started it.
I haven't started yet because
I still gotta start. I still gotta watch season 1.
There's so much going on that I haven't. It's hard enough for me just to dedicate time each Wednesday
That's
to the
fair.
book of Mandalorian. I mean, the book of Boba
Book
Fett.
of Boba Fett.
Yeah,
sir.
See, Mandalorian got me spoiled. That's why I fell asleep on the second episode. But I promise I'm gonna power through the second episode so that I can get to that.
I'm gonna be honest with you. It's going to
power through like the first
episode 4.
Yeah.
Right. Once you get to 4, you'll be okay.
Once you get to 4, it's popping.
All right, good to know. Because I'm still new to the Star. You know, I just got hip to doing my due diligence, if you will, and like watching all the movies. Because I had seen Empire Strikes Back. Of course, everybody likes Empire Strikes Back. And which one? I think that was the one I remember most.
So so hold on. So you watched the original trilogy?
Yes. I don't know if I've seen A New Hope.
That's the first movie.
That's the first one.
That's the first one.
That's the one. It's not the best one, but that's the one you're supposed to watch.
I know.
I just want you to know that's the one you're supposed to watch.
Unpopular opinion. I actually like Star Wars Episode 1 because
we're cool. No,
I don't have a problem with it.
I have no issue.
I know it's unpopular.
I feel like when it came out, people didn't appreciate it at first. They were like, "It's not enough action." It was like, "No, you got to build the politics in that movie."
We hate the Senate meetings on CNN and
yes.
All that's important. I'm gonna tell you what.
I went off on a tangent.
The first Star Wars movie, way more boring than Episode 1. Episode 4 is boring compared to Episode 1. That's a real thing. Like, it takes a minute for it to get where it needs to go.
Yeah, that's why everybody be raging over Empire Strikes Back.
That's right, and that's not my favorite one either.
That's
but I'm just, let's see if this thing will work, man. I don't. Let's see. Oh shucks.
Hold up. Oh Lord, this chick pregnant again.
Okay. Let me start by saying, before we even get into like why this is a thing.
Nobody asked for this.
I've never been a fan of the Kardashians, of keeping up with the Kardashians or whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't know there were that many of them. Like when they were walking towards, I was like, how did they multiply?
I think with the Kardashians, it's Khloe, Kourtney, and Kim. That's 3 right there. And then the Jenners
are the other.
Kendall and
Kylie.
I don't know. I don't know. They all just seem, I don't know. They're interchangeable to me in a lot of ways. Like I don't
made news for good and bad reasons, So it's like, and of course, my inner activist or whatever. Like I just, I don't hate them, if you will, but I'm not like the biggest fan because of the fact that they built their platform pretty much off of cultural appropriation.
Hey, listen, I'm not even. Look, I'm gonna tell you what. My biggest issue with this was the Disney Plus logo.
Yeah.
But hey,
not sure.
They did clarify something about that, because when I first saw that, I had to question that. So for us, it's on Hulu. Overseas, it's on Disney Plus.
Which I get, right? I know that that's
cosplaying black women. Tell it.
That's it. Facts. Here's the thing. I get that. And maybe they just don't have that kind of control. Like, I don't know what the difference between Hulu and Disney. Like, I know that Disney generally tries to keep things PG-13, which I don't think the show is necessarily going to not be PG-13.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I just find that unless there's other things that are already on Disney Plus that fall into the same category,
that's what I feel.
Kind of reality
category
TV
to itself
that they do. It just seems out of place.
Why can't it have been on Hulu instead of Disney Plus? Why could it have been a Hulu
and I'm assuming because maybe they can't, for some reason, they don't have the rights to do it. It's got to be something contractual, right? There's got to be something else there.
And there's a certain level of prestige that comes with having the Disney name attached to your brand.
Definitely.
Like,
absolutely.
And money too. Like,
there's no two ways about it.
Right.
No
And not for nothing, they've amassed a lot of, like they were already filthy rich before.
Yeah.
Because oh boy, first of all, the Kardashians' dad, he was rich, and then the Jenner, like Caitlyn Jenner is filthy. So it's like, they didn't even have to do anything but just collect their parents' money.
They're looking people. I mean, and that goes somewhere. That goes a ways, and
they got drama. Good
and drama goes a ways too.
Black women, and they look decent now, I guess.
Listen, Cuddy's upset at us.
I saw that. My man was
comment up there.
Cuddy. I mean, I know why. I just want to hear you say it.
Cuddy said, "Really, fellas, y'all talk about the $60K that they won their money back from Battlefield. Listen, I'll give you 60 seconds on Battlefield real quick, just for those who don't know. So Battlefield 2042, there's a petition right now that is live that has 60,000 signatures of people who bought the game who want their money back because they feel like EA is not doing it.
The game's broke.
Yeah, it's broken, and they're not updating it, and they're not doing anything to it. And so it's a hot game in the first place. The only reason why I didn't bring it up, Cuddy, is because realistically, I don't think it's going anywhere. Like EA doesn't care, and I don't think anything's gonna happen. I think
this has happened with EA multiple times, and nothing has changed.
They don't really care what people think.
We'll update it when we get to it. And it is what it is.
Yeah.
When they released that demo originally, that already showed that it was gonna have every possible issue.
It's already broke. Here's the thing.
Yeah, they're like, you did this to yourself.
What it will take for EA to care will be for Microsoft and or Sony to pull it from the store.
Yep.
Or to offer refunds. And if they do that, then that means they're taking a hit. EA's not taking the hit.
Just like they do with
people won't be able to buy it anymore, but it would force EA's hand in a way that hasn't been seen since last year's Cyberpunk 2077. And I can also tell you right now that Microsoft isn't going to pull it because they did the marketing deal with them. Which is the same reason why they didn't pull Cyberpunk. Because they did the marketing deal with Cyberpunk. So Sony pulled it and yanked it out of the store because it was a broken game. Right. And they didn't want people to buy it, whatever. EA is in the same place. They're in the same place. And right now, we just going to let them keep digging.
Yeah, because they didn't get bought by anybody, did they?
No.
Yeah.
No. But if they're not careful.
It's going for EA.
They need to just go ahead and just let Microsoft cop that joint, like they are everybody else.
Y'all know what y'all doing with that. Come on,
factually speaking,
right?
I don't think that Microsoft or Sony would buy EA. What I do think
some of them IPs
they would do was attempt to buy some of their IPs.
That's
like
fair.
They own a lot of really like I could see them trying to buy BioWare out from under EA.
Yeah.
Right, so that they have access to BioWare's games. I could see them.
Need them to buy the big name and bring them street games back. Like if anything, grab those.
Realistically, all that is a matter of actually them going in and doing the deal with a
NBA, NFL, and all.
Put it together. Right now, we still have. I think there's 2 years left on the contract that the NFL has with EA for Madden.
Gotcha.
There's a possibility, because of the way things are going right now, that the NFL will not sign that contract again. I think that all the NFL has to do is look at what Disney decided to do. Disney also signed a Star Wars deal with EA for 10 years for them to do games. And if all the and EA, they shut that down. Yeah. The NFL will realize that there's a lot more money to be made if they allow other people. If you get an NFL quarterback club again, if you get an NFL 2K again, if you get either EA is going to have to pony up enough money again to make it worth it for them to only give that license to them. With the NFL, mind you, again, if you look at what Microsoft is doing, Microsoft put out a statement today about how they're going to keep Call of Duty multi-platform because they're trying to force the litigation to allow them to get this acquisition. So they're trying to force in the appeal for the Epic versus Apple confrontation, that deal that keeps app stores where they get 30% of your cut, they're trying to make that happen. So the fact that Microsoft has a deal with the NFL, they are an official sponsor of the NFL. They supply all the Surface, all that stuff for everybody at the NFL, all the coaches, everybody's doing all that stuff on Surface. Right. It's all happening because of Microsoft. Microsoft has a different kind of pull now than they had before.
So you think Microsoft is going to buy Madden or going to?
No. Mm-hmm. I think that they're going to. I think that Microsoft is going to push the NFL into realizing all they have to do is take the evidence they have from MLB, no longer allowing Sony to be the only people that make, like, Sony still makes MLB the show, but the MLB forced them to release it on Xbox last year. It was Game Pass and was still one of the highest selling games that they had as far as sales is concerned. This year, as a matter of fact, in the Nintendo Direct they just had, this year they announced that it's coming back to Game Pass again day one on Xbox. Of course, it's a Sony exclusive, but if you want it on Sony, you got to pay $70 for it. It's going to be on the Switch, and the Switch detailed today that you get cross progression, meaning that what they're trying to sell you there is play it on your Xbox, play it on your PC,
play it on Switch on the go,
play it on your PlayStation, but then take the Switch with you and play it there. And when you come back, you just keep playing on these other ones because they know the experience isn't going to be as good. The kind of money the MLB had to have seen from that deal for them to go this far with it this year, that's the kind of information that Microsoft is going to take to the NFL to say, listen,
look,
if you dare sign this deal with Madden.
The NFL will be like, hey, look, we can't do it, EA.
Nope. Not to mention, Microsoft has had the marketing deal with Madden for like the last, I want to say 10 years. Every year they do a console that drops with Madden in it. Like they do it every year, probably because of the tie they have with the NFL. So the NFL and whoever's in charge of making that decision now, if they're smart, there's way more money in licensing that out, especially because Madden has become so dry. Now, it's not going to happen this year. But again, John Madden died. So this year's version of Madden is going to sell hotcakes. It's going to sell more than anything else. All they're going to do is do a special platinum edition with John Madden's face on it. And it'll have a free version included. Not free because you'll pay more for that version, but it'll have like the original like 1992.
The first one in there.
The very first Madden game.
Yeah. That'll be it.
Yeah, it'll be the nostalgia package.
For sure. And people are going to be all over it. One other thing that happened today that we'll talk about, and then we're going to get into doing some business spotlights and so forth. Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi got a date.
Let's go.
May 25th.
I only have one problem with this poster. Can we get out of the desert, please?
What do you mean? My man is on like.
No, I'm talking whatever Disney's doing. They like being in the sand. Can we just leave the sand
for Star Wars?
Just for a time, please. There's so many planets out there.
He on Tatooine. You gotta look out.
I'm sick of Tatooine.
I agree. I agree. It's time to go. I'm sure they won't be there very long.
They do be in the desert a lot. Mandalorian was in the desert for like a good majority.
And Boba Fett is in the desert.
Yeah, Boba Fett, all the Fetts. Jacob Fett.
Boba Fett was buried in the desert. Came back up out of that joint. Like he's a part of the desert landscape.
Oh God!
Force Awakens. Ray comes from the desert. Like, oh my God!
I don't know what they're planning for Star Wars Day, but doing this on May 25th seems like a miss. Like, why wouldn't you just do it on May 4th? Like, why, if you're gonna do it in May, why wouldn't you just do it on Star Wars Day?
I feel like they're gonna pull the okie doke and maybe like give us the first episode super early, and then the rest of it will start on the 25th or something like that.
They might drop the trailer on the 4th.
Probably.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. There's no way we don't get a trailer on the 4th.
Yeah,
there's no.
That would be the biggest miss. That's a stormtrooper shooting a blaster type of miss.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm actually. After the way the book of Boba Fett comes to a conclusion, I'm more excited about Obi-Wan than I was prior, even if it is in the desert. Even if it is in the Tucson desert.
I know that's
hey, Dr. Who said, I'm going to have my name on the donor page at the HBCU Con. That's what I'm talking about.
Right. Thank you.
That's love right there, Dr. Who. That's love.
I appreciate that.
So here's what we got to do now. One of the things that's important to us, especially for Black History Month, we want to spotlight Black creators, which is part of why CC is here. We also want to spotlight some Black businesses. So we're going to try this again.
Okay. Let's see if it wants to cooperate.
I mean, listen, we're gonna find out now. So listen, so a good friend named Troy Hill, who is in the DMV, recently started TNT window tinting. That's his wife's name is Tiana. From way before there was that. Like it's not Princess and the Frog Tiana. It's like, but TNT window tinting. So listen, they do mobile services. You can call them. Jokes. If you look in the captions, you can grab the links and post a link for their
gotcha.
For their
IG.
Hit 'em up. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play this little video if it'll let me play it. So, hey, dog, that's not an actual link. Jokes. Do you need me to?
Nah, the link's not there. You just got the.
Did you need me to get you an actual link? I can hook you up.
Sure.
Also, Troy also is a DJ.
Get out of here. He do whatever.
He DJs weddings. He like, and my man is good at what he does. He's done a lot of friends' weddings. He actually used to DJ school dances at my oldest daughter's school. He used to come through and do that. He used to do that for free, which was really, really dope of him.
Yeah.
Sometimes. But yeah, he does top 40, hip hop, R&B, reggae, Afrobeat, dance hall, go-go.
Yeah, he even got the go-go on there with the 202 area code, so you know.
Oh yeah.
Authentic.
You know what I'm saying?
He's DMV factual. I will get you links for that. The other thing I want to do is I want to showcase one more good folk. While I get you and then I'll get you that link, Joke, so you can post that. Or you can just pull it. You can pull it. You know how to pull it. I don't know why I'm acting like I have to do it for you.
Because you said it was already there and it wasn't already
there. And that's why I said I know you can do it though. Like I don't, you know. So let's run this.
We have some great things to share on our site. We think you'll enjoy it. Give it a look.
So, I'm going to tell you a little something about Creative 71. For those of you who don't know, Creative 71 is the digital media company that is owned and run by our own K. We just call him K. And he does like our music. When you watch the show load up, he does our music. Edits a lot of our videos. Has been doing that for years. So if it ain't him, it's Jokes. Or it's him. Or it's him. That's but he also did that short video for Troy. For his business. So he takes care of all kinds of needs. He does a lot of photography in the area. He, you know, just really, really great all around good dude who can like if you have something visually you want to put in front of people. He's helped us do videos for people's Kickstarter, successful Kickstarter campaigns. Like we've done all kinds of stuff together. He's just really good at what he does. Jokes, I will grab you those links. Now, I want to tell y'all what's going to happen next week. So next week, the show will be on Wednesday again, not Tuesday. So for those of y'all who are not used to it, I'm telling you now. It's going to be on Wednesday, not on Tuesday. We're going to have our good friend, Eric Suggs Jr.
Why are you making that face?
He's smiling. He's happy.
He up to something.
Yeah. Eric is a really, really great artist. Works in this area, does a lot of stuff again with STEAM and STEM programs in the area. So we're gonna have him on. He has a company called Artway Alliance. We're gonna be talking about that and showcasing some of that stuff for him. The following week, we're gonna be joined by Good friend of mine, Stephen Dent, who is a producer, engineer. He used to manage Daddy's House recording studios for Bad Boy.
Nice.
He went to and taught at Omega. He also teaches other classes in music and so forth. So we're going to talk about that and talk about him. So he'll be on a couple weeks out. Tomorrow, Sin. What's happening tomorrow?
Tomorrow is part 2 of our Anime of the Year awards. Crunchyroll has released what, all the categories and, what won everything. So we're going to go through the list tomorrow. Myself, Jokes, the rest of the admins of the anime chat group going live. And we're going to see who's the winners, who's the losers, and which one of us came out on top with our predictions. So it's going to be a real good time. Perp, you better be there, because after all that last time with all that Attack on Titan,
boy,
I want to see what your score comes up with. I want to see. So yeah,
boy,
yeah. No, I think he's gonna come away with a lot of wins.
I was gonna say, I think Perp's gonna come out okay. Like,
I think he's gonna come out okay.
Problem.
Yeah, but tomorrow at 8 p.m. Yeah, we're gonna go live and have some fun with that. So tune in.
Yay! That's 8 o'clock with a 5-minute intro, because that's how we do. There is the link for the window tint service. Again, DMV, they do travel, so I want y'all to make sure you follow that. The link for Creative 71 is upcoming.
Got that one actually right now.
Got it. Good job, Joe. You on top of things. So y'all listen. Y'all make sure y'all hit those links. So a couple of other things. One, what we are doing here is we are building a community. So one of the things you might notice about the chat that you see on the side is that there are people who are watching on YouTube, there are people who are watching on Twitch, people who are on Twitter, people who are on Facebook. But many of the people who you're watching or who you are seeing are also creators. They are cosplayers, they are photographers, they are writers, authors, illustrators, you name it. And it's very important. Go and follow each other, right? You're seeing people that have similar interests like you. This is a safe space. We want to continue to keep it a safe space while expanding that space. So go in and follow each other. Click on the links. Absolutely that you see that are here. Please go and follow these folks. That we want to spotlight. Again, make sure you're going. You follow CC. That you're going. Your support HBCU Con. Those things are super important. But again, we're doing some community building here. We want to keep that going. For sure. We have a new link. We have moved from Linktree. Jokes?
Oh, yeah. Let me get the new. See, I was prepared with the old one.
I know you were.
Prepared with the old one.
And that's why
had his finger on the trigger.
I sent it to you earlier.
You did. So I'm gonna send it. I'm gonna send it to myself.
So we have a Linktree, and while Linktree has been very, very good to us, we have unfortunately outgrown it.
We've
just a little bit.
A bigger tree.
Yes, and that tree is no longer big enough. So we moved on to beacons, and we did that because again we just have more links than you can shake a stick at. So all of our socials are there. The basics, the TikToks and the Instagrams and the Twitters and the Facebook is all there. But the link for our merch site is there. The link for our Patreon is there. The link for MCU chat, which is huge. We're I want to say 11 people away from having 1,000 people in that chat. And MCU chat goes off. So if you like the MCU and you want a place where you can just find the greatest memes ever, the best discussions you could possibly have, and most importantly, in MCU chat, Jokes is always really good about whenever there's a new MCU film that comes out, we create a space there specifically for spoilers. We have a spoiler place where you can go where if you've seen it and you don't want to ruin it for other people, and please don't be that person.
Please.
You got a safe space to go But we can talk about all the things that are bothering us, the loopholes, the questions we have, the things that excited us, all of that without ruining it for other people. There's a safe space there. So please go and join the MCU chat. We have a Loading Snacks anime chat, which is where you'll find tomorrow's episode where they're doing their discussion for Anime of the Year. We also have a wrestling chat for those of you who like to see people fight. Scripted. That's the place to be. I'm just saying. I didn't say it was fake. I didn't say it wasn't real because I don't believe those things. I do believe that wrestling is the realest sport on the planet.
You definitely take a beating, but
for sure.
Oh yeah,
it's coordinated. But it's a coordinated butt whooping.
Isn't that right? You took a chair shot.
I took a chair shot.
I
fell to the ground.
Oh, you did. Oh, you did.
That's the show right there. I took a chair shot. I fell to the ground.
That's it. That's new merch. Yeah, so we have a wrestling chat. So again, all those things are there as well. Again, as things grow, it just becomes. But one of the things that's really cool about Beacons, and part of the reason why I went there is because Beacons actually has a spot. Think MySpace. It has a spot for friends. So if you go to our Beacons, you can click on the link that's there. Cece's Instagram is there. You can go there. You can click on it. You can follow her there. I also have Eric's, who will be with us next week, and Steve, who will be with us next week. You can go there and you can follow them already. If you saw last week's show where Tui was on the show with us from the Hamiltons, his link is there. My man is hilarious and doing some cooking and some singing all at the same time. And of course, our links are there. My link is there, Sin's link is there, Joke's link is there, and K, Creator71, his link is there too. So we will continue to add more and more friends as we bring more and more people onto the show. Yeah. I really like what Beacons is doing. So click the Beacons link. Follow us across the board. We'd appreciate your support. Sin, you have a job to do. Your job hasn't changed.
No, so let's shout out our top tier patrons, starting with Anthony Cunningham, Marcus Houston, Susan Dorch, and Tyrone Carson. Thank you very much. We truly, truly appreciate it.
No doubt. No doubt. All love for our top tier patrons. All love across the board for all of our patrons. The Patreon is growing. We're looking again to continue to do some things, switch it up. I made a new post today that kind of has a schedule going forward for the rest of this month. We have some things lined up for March. Got some people lined up to come and join the show for Women's History Month next month.
Nice.
Again, we're going to continue to do those things. You know, if you're following us on Patreon, then you'll be able to see our exploits. That is where we post Spoiler Boys. So again, if you want to hear us talk bad about a show,
that is the place to go.
Yes, it is.
You want to hear how I really feel about the Book of Mandalorian?
Wow,
that's the place to be.
That is the way.
Yeah, we are
that is the way.
That is the way.
That is the way. Okay, so
oh god,
I want to thank you, CC, for coming and hanging out with us today. For sure,
it's been an honor and a privilege. It really has, and I know we've talked so many times, and we're like, oh yeah, we'll do a podcast, and we'll do it. So it's just cool to see that it's it's come full circle, and everything in God's timing, if you will.
No doubt.
Thank you so much, Susan. I appreciate you.
Yeah, shout out DST. You have to do that.
Got to do that for the one time,
No doubt.
But yes, I'm really grateful, and thank you all so much. It really means a lot to all of us at HBCU Con. It really does.
Awesome. You all are good people. We see you everywhere we go.
Yeah.
We're all in the same places, hanging out with the same people and friends with the same folks. So we gotta show that love and support each other for sure.
I appreciate it.
Thank you again for coming and hanging out with us. I want to say thank you to everybody in the chat for hanging out with us for the last hour and 25 minutes or so that it has been. We really appreciate your time because we know that means that you could be doing something different. So being here with us is really a big deal. For myself, Gage, for Sin, and for Jokes, and for K. You know what? And for K.
And
out
for
there
K.
in the background somewhere. You have been watching Lotus Snacks Weekly. We are out. Toodles and Lose.